God bless you, my sisters and brothers. Now, we are going to the topic, White Sepulchre, and we will be focusing our attention on Matthew 23 from verse 25 to verse 33. And verse 25 begins, "Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees." You know, the Lord is here. Jesus is here speaking to the scribes and the Pharisees, and he's issuing numerous woes. And he said, "Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you may clean the outside of the cup and of the platter, but within they are full of extortion and excess." And it goes on to say in verse 26, "Thou blind Pharisee, cleanse first that which is within the cup and platter, that the outside of them may be clean also." Pleasant morning, Sonia. Now, Jesus is here, and he's going to compare his audience, you know, the scribes and the Pharisees, because he names the persons that who is addressing. And he uses, in these two verses, he uses the fact that they were like a cup and a platter, right? We would say cup and saucer. And he's comparing them to dirty dishes. Pleasant morning, Authorine. Let me see if I have missed anybody. Yes, so he's comparing them to dirty dishes, right? And he's saying to them, how can you pay attention to just the outward, making sure that the outward vessel is clean, but then inside is dirty? And even though he uses the symbolism of a cup and a saucer, I'm just going to use our term, he made mention of the fact that of what they are filled with, what made them unclean. And the fact is that he pointed that they were extortioners and they were full of excess. You know, so that means they were covetous, my friends. And the word extortion there that is used, you know, pillage or plunder, robbery or spoils. And the word for excess that is used there is no restraint, incontinency, you know, intemperance. They had no self-control, which is similar when we think about the writings of Paul, as he wrote about these same issues that the church was faced with back in his time. And even now, you know, we are faced with these issues also. So Jesus is here pointing out the condition, the spiritual condition of these individuals. They were, and the fact that he uses scribes and Pharisees, he was, you know, looking at those who were a part of his, should I say, the spiritual leaders, yes, the spiritual leaders in his time. And he's comparing them to dirty dishes, that they were only focused on wiping out. And none of us really would think of, if we have a dirty cup and a saucer or our plate, would we think of just using them without washing them and making them clean? You know, none of us really would want to do that. We would want to make sure that they are clean before we use them. So the Lord is, even though he's so strong in his language, he has to be this strong, because these were a set of individuals who were so righteous that they were neglecting that which was very important, right? And they had to really take a stock of themselves. And we too, my brothers and sisters, must take a stock of ourselves. You know, we might look good on the outside, but then on the inside, what are we like? What is Jesus seeing? What is Jesus seeing in me? You know, I'm not just preaching to you, my brothers and sisters. I have to ask myself, what is Jesus seeing in me? Jesus must see his reflection. He must see his reflection. If he looks at us and he's not seeing his reflection, something is wrong. Because remember now, he created mankind in his image, in his likeness. We have the physical form. But you know, we know that because of sin, we lost the spiritual, you know, character or form that we should have. So when it comes down to substance, we lack spiritual substance. We are dead. And as the verses will go on to show us as Jesus continue his woes. He said in verse 27, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites. And you know, when we talk about hypocrites, you know, we have a very popular song. It is not a religious song. You know, it speaks to the fact that see the hypocrites, them and galang day. You know, referring to hypocrites, those who, you know, they really give you, hypocrites are really deceptive. You know, they give you this impression of themselves, but really they are not like that. You know, they are pretentious. And friends, we don't want to pretend when it comes down to our spiritual walk. We don't, what is sense pretending? It makes no sense pretending. So Jesus continues his woes. For ye are like unto white sepulchres. And the word for sepulchre here, my friends, is, you know, a place where you put the dead. Place where you put the dead, my friends. And he continues to say, which indeed appear beautiful outward. And even today, when you visit the cemeteries, especially those where you had, because nowadays, because of the lack of space, I know that you have some, in some cemeteries that we have here in Jamaica, you have where you have to bury, I think 3 persons. That's the most I've heard. So far, I don't know if it's more. 3 persons on top of each other. So yes, the grave site do look a bit more simpler. But you know, you go to especially Maypen Cemetery, you know, off on Spanish Town Road. Those of us who may have gone by there, and you see some graves. I mean, really, it is made like a house, like a mini house. So many times, and I'm sure abroad, yes, abroad, I've gone to a cemetery abroad when my cousin had died. And you really see some very, very elaborate, you know, graves and how well kept they are. And Jesus was alluding to this. You know, these persons were so focused on beautifying, you know, and when Jesus compared them to a grave, friends, this really shows you their grave spiritual condition. And that they were really heading nowhere. They were just heading, because Jesus will continue. Let me continue, friends, as he continues his woes. But are within full of dead men's bones and of all uncleanness. Even so ye also outwardly appear righteous unto men, but within ye are full of hypocrisy and iniquity. And iniquity there is when God's people take on a sinful lifestyle. We know what is right, but we neglect. We secretly, we are, you know, rebelling against, we are going against our conscience, deliberately doing the wrong thing, even though we know what is right. So we are rebelling against God's will, just walking and having a lifestyle, you know, of living in sin. That is what iniquity is. And he says, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because ye build the tombs of the prophets and garnish the sepulchres of the righteous. So they're beautifying the tombs of the righteous, the prophets of old. And here's what Jesus said, and say, if we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. Because remember now, Jesus in the past had sent his prophets to appeal to his people for them to repent of their ways. And the people were so stubborn and so stiff-necked, you know, and they would kill the prophets. And here Jesus was saying to these scribes and Pharisees, you know, you're beautifying the tombs of the righteous. And you're saying within yourselves, if we were back then, during our father's time, we would not have partaken, you know, of the sin to kill these prophets. But Jesus continued in verse 21, wherefore ye be witnesses unto yourselves, that ye are the children of them which killed the prophets. Because the same spiritual state that those who killed the prophets of God were in were the same spiritual state of these scribes and Pharisees. They were just white sepulchres filled with dead men's bone. They were dirty dishes, my brothers and sisters. They needed cleansing. They needed friends to be resurrected from the dead. So their state was really a very dismal state. And Jesus continued, I will just read the last two verses. Fill ye up then the measure of your fathers, ye serpents, ye generation of vipers. How can ye escape the damnation of hell? And the word that is used for hell right here is making reference now, my brothers and sisters, to the fires of hell. That's when Jesus' judgment will be executed. You know, so, and the Lord is saying to them, how are you going to escape that damnation? How? When you continue in the ways of your fathers. That is why he said, fill ye up then the measure of your fathers, because you're lacking. And friends, if we are not careful, we too can fall into this state where we are so meticulous, and some persons are so meticulous when they are cleaning, you know. You ever see sometimes, even we, especially we women, when we're doing a cleaning of the house, and we call it spring, even the spring cleaning, and we remove every furniture, and we you know, move everything, and we clean, and we remove the cobwebs, and you know, we dust, and we wash what needs to be washed, and you know, we go about and we make sure that the place is clean. When you're done, it feels clean, and it smells clean, and it looks clean. You know, because we have taken the time out, my brothers and sisters, to make sure that the place look good, because we want to, you know, we want to be in a clean place. And yes, we are expected to keep our places clean, because cleanliness is godliness, friends. You know, but we cannot just take it on a physical level, where we are just concerned about cleansing the body, you know, cleansing where our surroundings. We must also, when it comes down to the spiritual man, we must cleanse this. That is very of utmost importance. Malachi 3 verse 2 says here, but who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire, and like fuller's soap. And the New Living Translation to fuller's soap is like a strong soap that bleaches clothes. So this soap is able to do a job. When it is done, the garment is spotless, is clean, looks good and clean. You know, and other interpretations say launderer's soap or launderer's bleach. So this thing, because remember now, in order to clean the plates and stuff, we must have detergent. And the detergent must be of such a quality where it can really remove the bacteria, friends. Because if the bacteria is still there on the plate, it makes no sense. The plate, it may look clean, but the plate is not clean. And you want to eat from that, you're just contaminating yourself. And we can make ourselves ill if we do that. If the bacteria get into our systems, and then our system may not, when it comes down to our immune system, may not be strong enough, and before you know it, we are ill. You know, so we have to be mindful. So we need to know the coming of the Lord is like that, right? So we need to make sure that we allow the Lord to do the cleansing work right now, so that when he comes, because when he comes, he's going to apply this, friends, refiner's fire like fuller's soap, because everything now, you know, going to be as it should be. when he had created it. No sin, my brothers and sisters. None of that will be there. And Ephesians 5 verse 25 says, that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. That is what God desires to do for his people. You know, none of us wants to be likened to a grave. And it is so funny that sometimes when we look back at these persons that Jesus was talking with, how they want to, you know, pretty up the tombs of the righteous, but then they were not careful enough to really, because these men, these prophets that were killed, my brothers and sisters, they look forward. You know, they had a connection with Jesus, and they would have rejoiced to live at a time, during the time when Jesus, God, the Son of God, walked this earth. And you know, here it is, that Jesus was among his people, God with us, Emmanuel, God with us. And they were rejecting him and prefer to be in their condition of a spiritually dead persons. It is sad, friends, and we don't want to be in that condition. So this morning we're asking the Lord to apply his fuller soap on us from now, so we will not be found in such a condition, to be white sepulchres filled with dead men's bone. No, that's a condemnation.